I'd like to call this meeting to order, the Transportation and Commerce Committee meeting. Please call the roll.
Alderman Boyd. Alderman Moore. Alderman Vaquero.
Present.
Alderman Cone.
Present.
Alderman Mohammed. Alderman Oldenburg.
Here.
Alderwoman Middlebrook. Present. Alderwoman Chair Davis.
Present.
Alderman Boyd. Alderman Moore. Alderman Mohammed. Okay. 5 present.
Okay, we have a quorum, so we'll move forward with our business today. Do we have any excused alderpersons? No one has been asked to be
What's
excused.
that?
Thank you. Right. Okay, we had that already. Thank you. So, we have minutes to be approved. We have 3 sets of minutes, and I'm hoping that you had an opportunity to peruse them. I know that they were emailed to us earlier, but you also have the printed copies before you. So let's start with Thursday, June 6th. Chair will accept the motion to approve.
I move that we pass the minutes from the meeting on June sixth, 2019.
Second.
It's been moved in second. Do I have to call the roll?
Previous roll. The roll in the room.
There's
Since the previous roll, we haven't had a vote yet. Okay, so let me just call the roll, please.
Second by.
We're doing some
No.
cross-training.
Oh,
I
second.
made the motion.
He made the motion.
Vaquero seconded.
Oh, second by Alderman Vaquero. Okay, gotcha. We do this
You
too.
can just call him.
Okay, Alderman Boyd. Alderman Moore. Alderman Vaquero.
Aye.
Alderman Cone.
Aye.
Alderman Mohammed. Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook.
Aye.
Chairwoman Davis.
Aye.
Again. Alderman Boyd. Alderman Moore. Alderman Mohammed. Alderman. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 I votes.
Five aye votes.
Okay, you have,
Yeah, I wrote it down. Do that.
you have approved the minutes from June 6th. You have minutes from June 27th.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from June 2nd,
27th.
or whatever it is.
June 27th.
June
okay.
27th.
Second.
Okay, moved by
Previous roll.
Alderman Vaccaro, second by Alderman Cone.
Vaquero.
Do we have
Previous roll.
previous roll? Let's move on to minutes for Tuesday, July
I
2nd.
make a motion that we pass the minutes from
Second.
July 2nd.
In previous roll.
2019.
Moved by Alderman Cone, second by Alderman Vaccaro. Was asked for previous roll. Hearing no objections, the minutes for July 2nd have been approved. We have board bills for review. Let's start with item number 1, board bill number 95. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Alderwoman. Good morning, Alderman. This is the first amendment to the banking concession with U.S. Bank National Association. This agreement grants U.S. Bank branch premises in Terminal 1, 1,083 square feet, as well as ATM locations on each concourse, Concourse A, Concourse C, and Post Security in Terminal 2. The concessionaire pays the Terminal 1 rental rate of $26.29 per square foot in Terminal 1, plus an ATM foreign transaction fee of 55% of all foreign ATM transactions. This First Amendment extends the term of the agreement by 1 year. The agreement commenced December 1st, 2014. It will now end November 30th, 2020. There are no other changes to the agreement. We respectfully request your approval of this First Amendment.
Thank you. Alderpersons, we'll start with seniority for any questions that you may have. This is, this board bill is not anything out of the ordinary. U.S. Bank has had a presence at the airport for a number of years. Alderman Cone.
Well, it doesn't
I'm sorry.
matter. I don't even have any questions, so.
Go ahead. You
Okay.
don't have any questions?
I'm just curious, so I'm supportive of this board bill, but, so I texted the director last week or the week before. JP Morgan Chase is looking at entering into the Missouri marketplace, St. Louis marketplace, specifically. I'm curious with these concession agreements, I've seen in other airports, other transportation centers where there's multiple banks that have ATMs. This is for the specific bank branch, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, but like from an ATM perspective, does this also give that concessionaire the rights to all the ATMs in the airport
We
facility
have
as
more
well?
ATMs than just this one.
Okay.
Right, we have
So,
Cardtronics and Bank of America as well on the ATM
okay.
side.
I thought I had seen others. So, and Commerce at one point had this location, correct? Or-
They had ATM locations
Yeah.
previously. US Bank has had
US
this
Bank.
locations really as long as I've been there.
Okay.
I think
Um,
First Bank had it originally,
Well,
didn't they?
that was a predecessor to US Bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or, no, I'm sorry, I'm thinking First Star. We're talking about the alderman from the 16th Ward, it's an employer, so it may be factually accurate here. Good to know. But, so is there a concession agreement then that, is in place for the ATMs themselves?
There is a concession
Okay.
agreement for ATMs that's in place.
Is that, I would presume, also done through an RFP then as well, or how?
It's done through a solicitation for bid, and that agreement is coming up in, pretty quickly. And so we're probably going to extend those, ask for extensions of those as well, the one, Bank of America at least.
Okay, so we don't open that up for bid then? I mean,
I'll answer that.
Sure.
Right now, we're doing one-year extensions on most contracts if the service is good because of the look at privatization. So rather than put out an RFP for a 3-year window or potentially a 5-year window, depending on the type of contract, we've been asked to do one-year extensions until we get through this process one way or the other. So in most cases, we have been bringing forward the one-year extensions for the last 1.5 to 2 years. So there will be a point in time, if things stay as is, where that would go back out for bid, but right now, we've been asked to just do the one-year extensions.
have we come upon a situation where someone has decided not to renew during that
Yes,
period and therefore
Best
we're
is-
not replacing services?
Electronics, yeah. Yes. We did that, I believe, the last TNC meeting, we had a meeting on airport shuttles and things like that. That shuttle provider elected not to proceed with an amendment. And also in talking to the ATM companies, one of them may not proceed with an ATM.
So we'll actually be reducing services out at the airport by following that logic, right?
You'll be losing one ATM location.
if they
If they choose
choose
not
not
to
to.
renew.
Still talking to them, yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all the questions I have, thank you.
You're welcome.
Alderman Oldenburg, any questions?
No questions, other than just to let the record state, this is an employer of mine. I have no influence over retail banking at all. It's a large company, but just out of an abundance of caution, Madam Chairwoman, I will be abstaining from this
Thank you.
particular board bill.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
No questions.
I have no questions. The chair entertains a motion.
Make a motion that we pass Board Bill 95 out with a due pass recommendation.
Second and
Move it.
previous roll.
Can't do
won't
previous
work.
roll.
Right, I said it won't
Abstention,
work.
we have one, we can't do previous roll because we have an
That's why I
abstention.
said we can't do it.
So you can
Just
call
call
the
the
roll
roll.
because he has to abstain.
Right.
Okay, Alderman Boyd, Alderman Moore, Alderman Vaquero,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Mohammed, Alderman Oldenburg,
Abstain.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Boyd, Alderman Moore, Alderman Mohammed, and Alderman Oldenburg.
Abstain.
Okay.
Just wait, abstain.
4 yes votes and 1 abstain.
Okay, so it's been moved and approved for Board Bill 96. So let's move on to Board Bill 99. I'm sorry. Hold on, 95. I'm really trying to move fast.
96.
So we're now moving to Board Bill 96.
We're requesting your approval today for the 7th amended and restated food and beverage concession agreement with Host International Incorporated. I want to introduce Daryl Jones, who was here. Oh, there you are, Daryl, sorry. Daryl is a partner in the joint venture partner for Host International on this concession. Daryl is the managing principal of D&D Concessions, which is a local company that does business at the airport and other places in St. Louis. The amendment, thank you. The amendment extends the agreement 3 years. Host currently operates 32 food and beverage concessions at the airport. There's a mix of sit-down, grab-and-go, and carry-out locations. The new amended and restated agreement extends the term 3 years. The current agreement was set to end December 31st, 2021. This restated agreement will end December 31st, 2023. Host is required to spend a minimum of $3.5 million for new improvements and upgrades. I brought a picture of one of them. If you're familiar with Terminal 2, we've got a Chili's location near Gate E4. And the Chili's location is going to be redone as a Blue Note sports bar. And the Blue Note, of course, after the Stanley Cup champions. And Host expects to have that done in early January to help celebrate the All-Star game in St. Louis. We've also, in this amended and restated agreement, restructured the revenue share. The minimum annual guarantee percentage, the minimum annual guarantee that Host is required to pay us as a minimum each year. The calculation on that goes up from 80% of the last year's total payments to 85% of last year's total payments. As an example, for the first year, the MAG will go up from $4.4 million to $4.7 million. The percentage fee system is also changed. The airport will get 11% of gross receipts until a threshold of $16.5 million in gross is met. After that threshold, the percentage fee will go up to 15% of gross receipts. The premises subleased to OHM and ACDBE stay at 10.5% throughout the term of the agreement. It's anticipated that the new revenue structure will increase revenue to the airport by a minimum of $500,000 every year. The new revenue structure begins immediately upon the commencement date of the new agreement, January 1st, 2020. Finally, the last change that I'll point out is we specifically went through the agreement and improved all the customer service and environmental language that's in the agreement. The 7th amended and restated concession agreement maintains the ACDBE utilization goal of 40%. Host meets the goal. We're currently at 37.37% through their D&D joint venture and a sublease to OHM Concession Group. We respectfully request your approval of this 7th amended and restated agreement.
Thank you. Any questions, Alderman Vaccaro?
No, Daryl's, I've known him when I was on the airport commission, and, you know, they do a great job out there. I'm certainly in support of this.
Okay,
I have no questions.
thank you, sir. Alderman Collins?
So with the last board bill, we talked about how we're only renewing contracts for a year, and now this one's being renewed for 3. So
This is a,
why are we drawing lines here?
we looked at this, and this is the concessions is a large piece of the airport and a large contract. So for a 1-year extension, we couldn't get anything out of a 1-year extension. It was my belief that we, the airport, had to get something if we were going to do extension on this contract because it's been out there a long time. we looked at, okay, could we do a 2-year? And even for that, it was hard to get an investment that we wanted for the 2-year. HMS Host, along with their partners, were willing to look at a 3-year with the investment of at least $3.5 million and additional revenue coming to the airport. So what we felt is that that was beneficial to the airport, and it was beneficial to the partner HMS Host and their partners. The reason that we could do a 3-year is because if the privatization were to take place, you look at the end of 2020 before a deal could be struck, and then that process of a changeover would take over 2 years, and the concession is one of the most complicated pieces. So that 3-year window would take that long for a concession to be reconstructed anyway. And so we felt like I went and asked the mayor's administration if they would support a 3-year, which they did, because it made sense in this particular case. And you couldn't put out an RFP for a 3-year because the investment of a concession requirement you could never get an investment if you were doing a total new RFP out of 3 years. So this is a very unique one.
So, thank you, and I can appreciate that. I guess the two questions, could I have like,
I'm sorry.
are you guys having fun? Okay.
Yeah, we
So,
were, actually.
How long did we typically have these concession contracts in place for?
Normally, a concession contract would be a 10 to 15-year concession contract on this size. This one's been there for a long time, and it has a number of amendments that have been extended. The last extension came in 2009.
I feel like there was a conversation around this when I first got elected 10
Yes, there
years
was.
ago,
There was.
so,
And
okay.
the preference for the airport would be, not because we don't have a good partnership with the current, but the preference would have been to put out a complete RFP. But that's very difficult to do right now when you're looking at a 10 or 15-year contract, and we're looking at the potential of changing the way the ownership is operated at the airport.
So with the Blue Note Club is formerly Chili's.
That's correct.
So was part of, like, it's great that we're doing local branding, you know, rah-rah. But, you know, hopefully they win the Stanley Cup again. You know, that just happened this past year. Once in a lifetime opportunity is what everyone was billing it as when it happened. So hopefully we'll see it twice. But was part of the change from Chili's to the Blue Note because they couldn't get a 10-year agreement in place and it wasn't financially worth?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, generally with there's franchise licensing agreements and all
Right.
sorts of things that, you know, add to the cost of doing business as a
Right.
concessionaire. And so, you know, if you're looking at a $3.5 million investment, you know, if you're adding in all of those costs, you know, does it make sense to do so? I mean, was that part of the consideration there, or?
Really, those royalty payments and things like that are built in. The $3.5 million cost, we wanted to make a splash with what we were doing. And that location is a splash. Where it is, you know, if you go to Terminal 2, it's right there in the center. And that's really what drove it.
Okay.
But it was my understanding from Host that the current contract on that Chili's location was also expiring. That franchise agreement was expiring on that location. So they were looking to refresh it and do something. We had been talking with the Blues ownership for the past year and a half about the potential, so they were excited to bring it to the table as well and partner with HMS Host to bring it to the table, so.
Just out of curiosity, do we have any other bars or restaurants in the airport, either terminal, that are sports themed, like Cardinals Nation
You've got
bar
on
or
the
anything
ACON
like that?
course, we have
There's the Mike Shannon's, which is,
Yeah.
of course,
Yeah, but it's not
Mike
like,
Shannon.
you know, the Cardinals Nest or.
Yeah, we don't, not really. I mean,
No.
1876 is more Anheuser driven, and you've got
Right.
Clydesdales and pictures of the stuff in there, and then,
Budweiser Brew
Bud-
House.
the
on that.
Budweiser
So
Brew
that's,
House.
we have local, but not so much the sports bar type location.
Okay, thank you.
President is here.
You did? Okay.
Thank you.
Alderman Oldenburg,
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
No question.
Alderman Moore, we'll let you get settled, and I'm gonna move forward with the vote for Board Bill.
I make a
Thank you,
motion that we
Madam
pass
Chair,
Board Bill 96 out with a due pass recommendation.
And we can't do
Oh,
two this one.
you know you came in the room. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
I thought I was your favorite alderman, but it's okay.
No, it's me, John.
No, it's,
I remove my motion.
I'm sorry, sir. Go right ahead.
No, I just felt left out. I don't have any questions.
I make a motion that we
I
pass Board
second
Bill
the motion.
96 out with a do pass recommendation.
And I'll second it. We can't do previous roll, the rules changed.
Yeah, you have to call the roll,
It was a
please.
roll call then. Alderman Boyd, Alderman Moore,
No.
Alderman
Question.
Vaquero,
Aye.
Alderman Cone,
Aye.
Alderman Mohammed,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Middlebrook,
Aye.
Chairwoman Davis.
Aye.
Take this no off my answer and put yes,
Okay.
since everybody else is friendly.
Go back and just call Alderman Boyd one more time.
No.
Okay. Okay, 7 yes votes.
Okay, we can move forward to our next board bill, Board Bill number 99.
We're requesting your approval for the second amendment to the operating agreement for management and operation of the airport parking facilities. This is with ABM Aviation Incorporated, which was formerly ABM Parking Services Incorporated. If you have a question, the first amendment was the name change from ABM Parking Services to ABM Aviation Incorporated. They manage the airport parking lots for us. You got 5 surface lots and 2 terminal garages, 9,001 public parking spaces. The agreement's term is extended 1 year, so it began December 1st, 2014, and will now end November 30th, 2020. The agreement, under the terms of the agreement, we pay ABM a management fee, and the airport collects all revenue and all the net proceeds from the airport parking lot operation. We respectfully request your approval of this agreement with ABM Aviation Incorporated, this second amendment.
Okay, let's see if we have any questions. Alderman
I
Vaccaro,
have no questions.
Alderman Cone,
No questions.
Alderman Oldenburg.
Just a couple. Has there been a recent parking study done at the airport in terms of demand? I know that flights are up, business traffic is up, so I just wonder if we're feeling a crunch on parking and what that tells us.
We did have a parking study done last year. It was an overall look at really Terminal 2,
Yep.
because that's where some of the congestion and some of the challenges, especially with the garages fill up on Monday, Tuesday, and early Wednesdays. So, and it was to alleviate some of the road congestion and things, so it was a more encompassing rather than just looking at pure parking spots. But one of the things that we do have, when we sold the bonds earlier this year, is to build another surface lot to the east of the Terminal 2 garage. So if you know where the Cargo City buildings are, there's 6 buildings, and then there's sort of a grassy lawn. With the bonds that were sold, one of the projects is to build another surface lot that would be approximately 300 parking. I think some of the challenges, if you, 300
Right
parking.
next to the E-lot, right?
Yes, it would be a little
Just
bit.
west of the E-lot.
No, east of
East of
the
the E-lot.
east of the E-lot.
I'm with you now.
Yeah. One of the things, the industry's changing fairly quickly with modes of transportation, and in most cases, across the country, airports are seeing pretty significant drops in their parking garages. Knock on wood, we have not seen that at St. Louis, but we don't know if we're just late to the game or if it has been. A lot of our growth has been obviously in the connecting market, which doesn't use parking. We have seen some local growth as well, but we're gonna continue to monitor that, but we will add this 300 space surface lot next year.
That'd be helpful. That's great. Okay. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Mohammed?
Yes, thank you. Can you define, what is ACDBE? What does that mean?
Airport Concession Disadvantaged Business Enterprise. It's the federal program for the local is the MBEWBE. Since the FAA considers parking an airport concession, we go by the federal program, which is the ACDBE program.
Okay, and with these companies and LLCs listed here, and so these are.
Those are
they
ACDBE
contract
certified.
under ABM.
Yes, sir.
And what do they do exactly?
You- For like Stepney Auto Bodies Brothers, when they have, ABM has a shuttle fleet that they operate for us, the Super Park shuttles, and when any of those vehicles have a mishap, or any of the utility vehicles have a mishap, they go to Stepney Auto Brothers. Regency Enterprise Services LLC has done a number of different things out at the airport for the parking operation. The last thing I can think of is that they helped clean out a gully really in Lot C that we needed cleaned out, and then they performed that services. B&P Construction does the snow removal services for the surface parking lots and the garages on the decks. Caprola Squad is their marketing company. Caprola Squad does manages their website, and we're rolling out a new frequent parker program this year. They're managing that operation. As a matter of fact, Caprola Squad won a local Addy Award for their work on Super Park.
They are the advertisers for who? For B&P or for?
No, sir, for Super Park. For the Super Park parking operation, we have billboards. We have their website. We've done some radio ads at different times. And Caprola Squad helps with all of that and develops all that. And Right Line Striping, sir, does a lot of their striping in the parking garages when we have things, restriping needs on the garage, in the decks, and on the surface lots.
Okay. So White Light Striping does striping?
Yes, sir.
Just curious, Madam Chairman, maybe you can answer this. Doesn't the street department, don't they do striping as well?
Well, they do it for us, the city of St. Louis, but not for the airport.
We're an enterprise fund,
They're
so we're
enterprise
independent.
fund.
But ABM or the airport, they could hire the streets department to do this, and the streets department would probably get $516,000.
Well,
I was just asking.
they would have to be a sub under that, and so you have to go through your normal RFP
Right,
process. The
right.
city, I don't believe, is certified as a sub to
We're
do
not.
contract work.
Okay, and just one more question. Out of these companies listed under this ACDBE, how many are minority owned? I see one exactly that is minority.
Those are all minority.
Are all of them minority owned?
Yes, so they're all certified ACDBE businesses which have those requirements.
But they're also owned by minority
Yeah, they're
owners.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I didn't know what that meant.
That's okay.
okay,
Pretty cool. Okay.
okay,
No further questions, Madam Chairwoman.
all right. Alderman Moore, did you have any questions on this one?
Yes, you mentioned Stephanie Brothers. Are you talking about the Stephanie Brothers on Natural Bridge?
I'm not sure their address, sir, but I believe that's
It
where it
is.
is, right up near the White Castle,
Yeah.
in Natural Bridge in 170.
And what are they doing for you?
The Stepney, they do some of the auto body work on the shuttles and some of the utility vehicles.
And while we're on parking, will we ever get our parking passes back around?
No,
No,
Thank you.
no. All right,
with all due respect.
Just thought I'd check.
Alderman Middlebrook,
No questions.
okay, we've done our questions, please call the roll.
Well, we need a motion.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill
And I'll
99 as a
second it.
two-pass recommendation.
I'll second it.
Previous roll?
Previous roll.
All right, thank
And-
you,
I'm fine with previous roll. I really gotta go over it.
we're good, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
No, no. Seconded by Vaquero,
Uh-huh,
and Vaquero made the motion.
okay, all right. So now we have Board Bill 100.
I don't have Board Bill 100.
I don't either.
For those of you, some of you may have not met Brian Kinsey. Brian Kinsey is our Director for Air Service Development at the airport.
I haven't. I don't think so. Okay, it's in the packet at the end.
Yeah,
You got it?
keep going, Shane. You don't have it.
Yeah. Okay,
Thanks, Shane.
all right. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. We're requesting approval of an airport aid agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission to reimburse the city up to $515,000 for direct costs incurred by the city for marketing and promotion of air service at the airport. The time period for this project is August 1, 2019, up to and including June 30th, 2020. The city is required to match 10% or $57,222 for a total project value of $572,222. This grant money will be used for a number of initiatives to promote St. Louis Lambert International Airport as an airport of choice and the St. Louis region as an attractive destination to both domestic and international airlines. We respectfully request approval of this airport aid agreement with Missouri Highways and Transportation Commission.
Okay. Let's start with questions. Alderman Cone.
Oh, for Carol, okay. So on the schedule that's attached to the executive summary here, on the executive summary, hold on. So is this a reimbursement for just the 10%, the match? It's for the 515,000.
Correct.
Okay.
The 10% is our match. That's what we're required to match in order to take advantage of this grant.
And this is, I know it says in the executive summary, the city, but is it the city or is it the airport?
The airport.
Okay.
But we do have to refer to all of our grant acceptance as the city of St. Louis.
Right, I just, it's not coming out of general revenue, it's going to the airport.
That's correct.
Is there a fund out there, is it going into the airport development fund, or like where would this money?
It's a reimbursement fund, so this fund is generated, there's a program in the state of Missouri that's been in effect for a long time. When a certain amount, when the fund reaches, and it's either 6 or 7 million, I gotta remember.
Well, it's 4.5. Once it gets to 4.5 million, then they allow the up to additional $2 million that's collected to be used for this purpose.
And that's in jet fuel aviation tax. So
Okay.
when airlines buy their jet fuel aviation, it goes into this fund. And if it meets that threshold, then the state, through MoDOT, has this reimbursement program that is open to all of the public airports in Missouri. So all of us can apply for this grant money. Brian spends the money, and then he gets reimbursed for that with all the documentation at the end of the year or throughout the period of the year when he's got the receipts all together and he can get reimbursement. It then goes in, and Antonio can probably answer exactly the fund it goes
It just
into.
goes to the general airport revenue.
It does, okay. So, and this is the same fund that we use when we're promoting new lines or new airlines themselves. Kind of like when WOW came into St. Louis, we spent a pretty considerable amount of money advertising, the new airline in the region, and in some cases, like I remember when Alaska Air started running direct to Portland, like we were advertising in Portland as part of an arrangement with Alaska Air. This is the same program that.
Yeah, much of that, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
a lot of the media buy that you may see here locally is funded by this program.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all the questions I have.
Okay, Alderman Moore.
So we get 500 and some thousand, and that's earmarked for what?
It's reimbursed.
It's reimbursed for our marketing efforts at the airport. So when we're trying to market new routes that we've got, or we're trying to have events to showcase St. Louis Airport and why it's good to come here, we spend that money, and then this program, this grant allows us to get reimbursed for that
Or
up to.
what would you advertise, and who would you advertise with?
We do billboards, Brian's.
We buy a considerable amount of media. It's not only here locally, but it's within the St. Louis region, our catchment area, which goes out to about 150 miles. So we continually try to remind the public of our great options as far as air service, especially the discretionary traveler who's thinking about taking a vacation and may not realize that you can get on a flight in St. Louis and be on the beach in Cancun that afternoon. So we keep reinforcing that, we have great options in St. Louis for the leisure traveler, but also the business traveler.
Is there a certain group of people or certain organizations that you are targeting, or just the public period?
And generally
It's
a
the
public
public
area.
in general, yeah.
Okay.
But we will advertise in Columbia,
Yeah,
in
we'll-
Cape Girardeau,
yeah.
in Springfield, in,
Are you on the radio as well,
yes.
Yes, we are.
and TV?
Yes.
I'll
But
be
you-
looking- I'll be looking for that, to see how much money you're spending.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Alderman Oldenburg.
No further questions, other than appreciate you turning over every stone to recoup costs.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. We do get the highest of any airport in the state of Missouri by a pretty large percentage rate, so,
We also generate the most. revenue
We do,
from any airport in
but-
the state of Missouri.
we do, so.
We remind the folks at the state that all the time.
Well, it's funded through airline jet fuel taxes, and
Yeah.
we have the most
Yeah.
jet fuel tax generation in the entire state of Missouri. So if you took out Kansas City, probably more than us combined.
Well, that goes back to the fact that St. Louis is the economic engine of the state.
Yeah.
Alderwoman Middlebrook?
No question.
Okay.
I make a motion that we pass Board Bill 100 out with the due pass recommendations.
Second.
Previous roll.
Okay, move to second with previous roll. Anything else, very quickly, according to my agenda that is provided, we have no other business of the committee. Announcements, I do have one. The airport director and I will get together with our calendars and send some dates to the committee, because we did promise we would do a tour and a briefing of airport operations, because we have a lot of new committee people, and also invite any other alderpersons who are interested. And so we'd like to make sure that that happens at least by mid-October. That
That's a
would be
good time of year to do it.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll make sure that that happens. Anything else from any of the committee members? Hearing none. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.